Good morning, everyone. I am so happy that you are here. Today, we are going to be exploring the pumpkin life cycle. But before we do, I want to talk a little bit about our resources and really what they are meant to help you do. So we have a pumpkin life cycle resource in the resource library of Funnydaffer. And this is a great aid to use in your science center. It's fantastic for that initial instruction to talk about what we see. So I'm always going to start every lesson with kind of working on past knowledge. What do you know about pumpkins? Are they a plant? Are they an animal? Where do pumpkins come from? Do they grow on trees? Do they grow from the ground? How do plants start? And then we're going to look at the diagram of a pumpkin life cycle. So we're going to start with a seed. That's first. Next, we have a sprout. Now we have a full plant. Then we're going to have a new pumpkin. And did you know that new pumpkins start out green and turn orange over time? Now we have a fully ripe pumpkin, and we can take the insides out of our pumpkin, make a jack-o'-lantern, roast pumpkin seeds, all delicious and so much fun. So I'm going to use this tool as my introduction, and then I'm going to place it in my science center so my students can reference this later. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have them help me create the pumpkin life cycle. Before I bring my students to the circle rug to go over the pumpkin life cycle, I'm going to pre-make my chart and I'm going to put my ordinal numbers up, and we're going to review the ordinal numbers. This is a skill that they're going to need going. So not only are we covering science, we're also touching on some early math skills that are going to help them with kindergarten readiness. We're going to talk about first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And then we're going to talk about what we know about that. First, if we're in line, first is the front of the line. Sixth is the last number, so it would be last in line. 3 is in the middle, and so on and so forth, because building that math vocabulary when it happens organically is going to be incredibly beneficial to your students. Now I'm going to ask questions like, who remembers what comes first? Right, it's the seeds. The seeds come first. What happens after the seeds? We see a pumpkin sprout. After the sprout, we're going to have a pumpkin plant. After the pumpkin plant, we're going to have small pumpkins. After small pumpkins, we have a fully ripe pumpkin. And last, we get to carve our pumpkin to get ready for Halloween. Now, once I've made this anchor chart and I've let my students help me to recall the sequence, I'm going to allow them to create their own pumpkin life cycle. So I have things like coffee. And I'm going to ask them, what do you think we could use the coffee for? What could the coffee represent if we're building our own pumpkin life cycle? Could it be the outside of the pumpkin? Or it could be the dirt, right? I have crepe paper. I have little paper plates, some tissue paper, some green raffia and yellow feathers, as well as pipe cleaners. And what I think is really important to do in something like this is have a visual that's available to them and then give them materials, but don't tell them how they need to use it. Let them figure out the best way to represent the steps of the pumpkin life cycle. In our pumpkin life cycle pack, we have these great little cards that you can use with Velcro dot to add to your science center as well. So your students can practice sequencing the pumpkin life cycle. Have a great little chart that goes first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And pumpkin life cycle bingo, because we know kids love to play games. This is a great way to use the curriculum to really build that foundational knowledge while also meeting multiple learning goals in several lessons.